Well, one Australian journalist has suggested it's becoming more dangerous to carry a camera on America's streets than a gun. She was responding to the latest attack on the press. It happened right in front of the White House. This is the moment an Australian TV crew were violently moved on.
Whoa!
And here's the same incident from another angle. The cameraman was shoved in the face, the reporter was hit with a baton across her back, and Prime Minister Scott Morrison has asked Australia's embassy in Washington to investigate. Well, the US Embassy in Australia has tweeted, "We remain steadfast in our commitment to protecting journalists," but not all American police officers seem to share that commitment. Here's the Washington Post detailing numerous attacks on journalists. Some estimate there have been more than 100. This article quotes the executive director of the Committee to Protect Journalists, who says, "I've never seen anything quite like this. Many of the norms have broken down." Well, Linda Tirado is a freelance photojournalist. On Friday, she was shot with a rubber bullet while covering the protests in Minneapolis, and she's lost the sight in one of her eyes. This is what she told us.
I was lining up a shot and I caught a projectile from the direction where the police were. Protesters came to my aid. They grabbed me and put me in their medic van and drove me to the hospital and I was in surgery within an hour. I have been permanently blinded in my left eye.
Well, a BBC team was also targeted. Cameraman Peter Mortor was working with our correspondent Aline McBall in Washington earlier this week. It was before the curfew and they were both easily identifiable as press. And this is what happened. Meanwhile, the president has continued to tweet about the need to dominate on the streets and has continued his attacks on the press too. This tweet is from Sunday. He said the lamestream media is doing everything within their power to foment hatred and anarchy. As long as everybody understands what they are doing, that they are fake news and truly bad people with a sick agenda, we can easily work through them to greatness. Now, let's be clear, there's no suggestion the president has told the police to attack journalists, but if you routinely demonise an entire group of people from a position of power, based on what history teaches us, you can reasonably expect that prejudice and hostility from others could well follow. Well, whatever the reasons, the press is being impacted by police violence, and in many cases, the journalists are identified as press and are cooperating. And it's not just journalists caught up in this. When a woman was filming the National Guard and military police coming down her street in Minneapolis, this happened.
Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go!
Light him up!
Go inside now! Get in the house!
Now, of course, the reasons why all of these incidents are happening is very hard to pin down so soon after they've occurred. Each circumstance varies, and it's too early to have everyone's accounts. However, perhaps we were offered a clue in this Vice News video.
I'm press!
I don't care, get down!
I am press!
I don't care, get down!
Okay, I'm down, I'm down.
"I'm press," says reporter Michael Anthony Adams. "I don't care," comes the reply, and then the pepper spray comes out. And this video and many others are causing concern. The head of the UN tweeted at the weekend, "When journalists are attacked, societies are attacked. No democracy can function without press freedom." And in the last week, various US police forces have shown, at best, repeated indifference to the role of the press, at worst, something more sinister. And each incident places a further question mark by Ronald Reagan's idea that American democracy is a beacon to the world.